Explain your career as a veterinarian and why you decided on this career path.
So, like many young kids that are interested in being a veterinarian, my interest in being a vet started when I was about 8 years old, taking my family dog to the veterinarian. I gained a much larger interest when I started working at the local vet clinic in high school, and really began to understand how much I liked the science and the challenging aspect of veterinary medicine. When I completed my undergrad, I did not get into veterinary school, so I took a temporary alternative path and did a master's degree. Following that, I did get into vet school, but during that time I realized that I really enjoyed research as much as I enjoyed science. When I completed veterinary school, I started off as a small animal practitioner, and I really enjoyed that for many years. But there was a lot of aspects of research that I still continue to miss from my days in graduate school. So after about 6 years of practice, I decided to change my career path and go into industry. For the last 6 years, I worked at Elanco Animal Health and focusing on the companion animal R&D side. So now I get a chance to not only use my veterinary degree through understanding of pharmaceuticals and different disease states, but also get to be involved in a lot more research and science. The other neat thing is that it does allow me the chance to continue to do relief work on the weekends, so that still gives me a chance to see animals and understand what the needs of the market are, while at the same time being involved in research.
Explain your career as a veterinarian.
So my father's a veterinarian, and I grew up pretty much always assuming I'd be a small animal vet like him. He was outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but I grew up in central Kentucky, Lexington. And growing up, I also thought maybe I'll do a little bit of equine, and so kind of went down that path. And once I got to vet school, realized nope, small animal medicine is really what I want to do. I graduated vet school, came back to Kentucky for a few years, and then ultimately went into practice with my father. And that's kind of what drove me to my next career path. We're too much alike, and I realized pretty soon that if I stayed with him, it probably wouldn't be a good end result. So I ended up getting into industry, and I've been working in industry in a couple different capacities for the past 12 years. I started off working on advertisement phone lines for Mariel. Then I came into a field technical role in Indianapolis, Indiana. And then currently I'm the Midwest Regional Director for the Field Veterinary Services. So I manage 8 veterinarians in the Midwest and assist the sales force with various things.
What is the most interesting aspect of your career as a veterinarian?
So when I originally transitioned from private practice into industry, my big concern was going to be not being able to utilize my veterinary degree and missing that day-to-day hands-on with patients. But what I found most interesting is that I still continue to use my veterinary knowledge and my degree every single day through the understanding of the different diseases that we're trying to address from a pharmaceutical perspective. So I think the most interesting thing is continuously getting to understand these disease states in a very deep level, and being able to understand the pathophysiology, how the disease forms, and how we can target those with some of the drugs that we're working to develop. Something I didn't think I would find as interesting when I was originally going to make the switch.
What is the most interesting aspect of your career as a veterinarian?
To me, it's that fact that when I first thought about being a veterinarian, I imagined just being private practice, seeing dogs, cats, doing that day in, day out. And while I started off doing that, and that's what I grew up seeing with my father, I quickly realized I wanted something more with veterinary medicine. And so my current career in industry gives me the ability to kind of work with clinics, working with medicine, but also working with business, seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly. I go into all sorts of clinics, and I get to help pull good aspects from one clinic and kind of bring it to other clinics, and also getting to see a little bit more on the business side of veterinary medicine. From the industry side, looking at marketing, looking at all different avenues. It's just been a different veterinary medicine role that I never really imagined was out there. I didn't think it existed, and the more I kind of got into it, the more I realized I really, really enjoyed it.
Please share a funny or memorable experience that you've encountered while being a veterinarian.
I think one of the funniest moments was a patient we saw first thing in the morning at 7:45, and the dog came in for some metal sticking out of its belly. And when we looked at it, we realized that it was two magnets that easily kind of popped off the dog's underside. It raised the question of why the two magnets were stuck to the outside of the dog, and following an x-ray, we realized that the dog had two magnets inside. And what it had done was it had eaten the hands and feet of a teddy bear, which contained a strong magnet in each of the hands and feet of the bear. The dog swallowed two, and somehow it came in close proximity to the other two magnets that were laying on the floor, and the magnets on the inside of the stomach stuck to the magnets on the outside of the dog, so the dog was walking around with the magnets stuck both on the inside and the outside.
Could you please share a funny or memorable experience that you've encountered being a veterinarian?
Sure. So for me, the most memorable experience, it still goes back to private practice. It still goes back to the interactions with the clients, the interactions with the animals. I had as a 12-year-old silky terrier that came in for a second opinion, and I remember just getting down on the floor with them, and the owner kind of said, "Well, do you want to see, what he does?" And I said, "Well, of course." And the dog's name was Spike, and he said, "Spike, smile." And literally on cue, this dog just raised his lips and smiled. And to this day, it's still the most memorable client I've ever had, the most memorable pet I've ever had, as far as, not my pet, but one that I actually had to examine. And I only saw him a couple times, but he always stood out. And he was a fantastic dog, fantastic owner. And it's owners like that and dogs like that I do miss in my current role, since I don't see them day to day, but they stand out.